we got a lot of questions. We're talking about two things. We're talking about your characteristics, right, which will be your traits, part of your person. Oh, sorry. No. It's okay. I have two masks on, literally two. Fine. Um, I think also I have a little bit of like dust inside. I apologize. Okay, so personality has two components. One component is your characteristics or your traits. The other component is your temperament. Your temperament is the piece of. Yep. This is going to keep happening, so I'm sorry, I'm just going to talk through it. Okay. So temperament is the piece of your personality that is pretty much genetic. Okay? And when we talk about temperament, we're talking about the intensity and speed of your reactivity or of your reactions to anything in your environment, right? And so when we talk about temperament, when we talk about temperament, we're talking about imagine two people in a room and the door opens to the room. One of those people kind of is like, oh my God. And the other person is like, doesn't even realize the door has opened. We all know two people like that, right? Now, those are very extreme ends of the spectrum. One person who jumps up at the sound of the door opening, we would refer to as a highly reactive person. Okay? And the person who stays calm and doesn't really even register fully that the door has opened is somebody we refer to who has a low reactive temperament. Okay? Now, consider that so far we've talked about this relationship between your genetics and your environment. And the reason I'm telling you so much about temperament is to highlight this interaction. Okay? So far we know that temperament is genetic. How reactive you are, you're literally born with it. Okay? Some babies have intense reactions to any and all stimuli, while others do not react to every single thing. The environment here comes into play because the parents of any child obviously carry their own personality, which means they carry their own set of traits, right? And they have their own temperament, high reactive, low reactive, in addition to, this is important also, whatever self-regulation capacities they have learned, right? As well as the self-regulation they inherently have biologically within their brain, which is done through the amygdala. Speaking of the amygdala, a bunch of you have had questions on if the amygdala is damaged, can you relearn self-regulation? And a lot of you have submitted questions specifically about damage to the brain. So do remind me, I want to address that at the end of today's class a little. Anyway, so the parents have their own temperament, their own characteristics or their traits. The baby, obviously the traits are not as pronounced at that time. And when we talk about a person's traits or characteristics, we are talking about extroversion, introversion, openness, agreeableness, conscientiousness or diligence, neuroticism, or the lack thereof. And the fifth one, and these are called the big five, and I always forget one when I'm listing them, so I don't remember one of them. But anyway, you have this in some combination or the other. Okay? It's important for us to understand that the big five gives us a way of understanding human personality across the spectrum. Okay? So all of us have these big five qualities. It's just that let's assume you are more extroverted, you are less extroverted, whereas maybe you are more conscientious, you are more agreeable or open to new experiences. So it varies. And when we talk about personality, we'll also look into this in a lot more detail. But the point is, the parents have all of this of their own, fully formed, right? The child is just developing. And when we talk about temperament, we have this conversation about how babies' temperaments affect the caregiving that they receive. Right? The caregiving in itself then has an impact on that child's life outcomes, which we will also study when we do attachment theory in detail. But for our purposes right now, we're talking about genetics interacting with the environment, right? Now, you have a highly reactive child and you have, let's say, one highly reactive caregiver, right? Who possibly also has a very high neuroticism element to their personality. And when we talk about neuroticism, we're talking about edginess, agitation, being on edge. Again, it's a quality that is always usually very highly found in highly reactive people. Um, so imagine you have this neurotic parent who is also highly reactive, and then you have this baby who is also highly reactive. When that combination happens, it's likely that caregiving will be inconsistent. Okay? Because this thing that we call attunement is how well the primary caregiver, whether it's mother or father or foster mother or whatever, how well the primary caregiver is attuned or sensitive to the needs of the child and is able to meet them the way that the child needs for them to be met, which means that even if a child is crying, a primary caregiver needs to figure out where's the crying coming from instead of ignoring the crying and so on and so forth. So that's what we call attunement. Um, so particular types of temperaments have been found to sort of be more challenging for parents, right? So we actually call there's a slow to warm up, there's a good, and there's a difficult. These three categories of temperaments that we usually put kids in. And slow to warm up babies are the ones that are not very reactive. And even in that situation, the caregiver relationship is affected because it's harder to know what the baby wants, right? And I think we can all agree, having had parents ourselves, parenting is not a perfect science. Right? Now, if while in that caregiving relationship, the temperament of the child is not handled with sensitivity, and obviously there will be errors, right? But let's assume the child faces a lot of neglect and abandonment. There's going to be a massive impact on that child, right? The question then we ask is the temperament, that genetic component, going to be affected by these disruptions in the caregiver relationship? What do you think?
Temperament also is genetic, but there are ways where a person can be trained to control their reactions. And for example, if the caregiver is attuned to the needs of the child and understand that our child has high reactive temperament, so they will modify their caregiving, they modify their upbringing in a way that meets the need of the child. So the child will come to understand, or कि यार मतलब I need to control my sometimes they will develop ways of controlling their temperament, but it won't change the genetic code of the child.
Right. So Muhammad Ali, that's your name, is saying that the child will not learn how to manage their temperament unless the caregiver helps them learn this. Yes. I can't hear you. Rukaya. That's a very important thing that Rukaya has pointed out. She's talking about how when a highly reactive child, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's saying that when a highly reactive child doesn't get the kind of attention they need, or whatever the need is, if that need is not met,